going live, and we're live. I think. Come on. All right. So that I am on the air with. Okay, we're live. We are live. Now let's get this up. You can see. Looking at Twitter. Too much Twitter these days. It's just so great now. Oh man. Hi, hi, hi! It's JEC, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. Oh man, Twitter has just been so great. So great. Oh man. So, while we're waiting to get some people in here, real quick, Saturday was cool. I went to the Pinelands Brewery out in the Pines. Man, that was out there. But it was a popular place. I saw a lot of people coming in and out for their artisanal beers. People loved their little tasting beers. They all had little trays, and there'd be 4 glasses, 4 like, I guess they'd be about the size of juice glasses of beer. I'm not a beer guy, so I don't know any of this stuff, but man, they're so into it. So they had 4 different types. They're all different colors. And they've got all these stories about every beer and what food they go with and everything. And so everybody was hanging out, and it's basically like a bar, but they can't serve food, but they can kind of. So they just have snacks. They can have snacks. I don't know. If I ran a place like that, I think I would have free popcorn. Like all the popcorn you want. Shove it down. Shovel it in your mouth, because that'll just make you thirsty and buy more of the beer. So people love it. They just love it. I mean, breweries down near here and wineries have exploded in South Jersey. Absolutely exploded. And every week I call these places up looking for, places I could do my Jersey Devil stuff. And man, I find like 3 or 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 more. And they're brand new, and a lot of times they open up in industrial parks, because there's a lot of empty industrial parks, and they're kind of cool in that these industrial parks are just sort of there for any business. So you're expected that you gut the office for whatever it is and build whatever you want. So people gut the office. They build like an insurance company or a doctor's office, or there was like a decal shop at one of them, and all kinds of different things. Well, in this case, they just gut the place and turn it into a brewery. And then they put in tables and a bar and taps and go to town. So this place had a lot of cool stuff. This was very piney. It had like Pinelands everything on the walls, stuff about the Jersey Devil. So they were into it. They were really into the books. It was a good scene. I had a pretty steady sales the entire time I was there. So that was good. And then next week, oh, it's gonna be nuts. I'm going to a super local place, River City Comics. It's run by a friend of mine. I'm gonna be there for about 4 hours, and then I'm probably gonna take off early, because I have to drive all the way to Montclair, New Jersey, which is it's almost 2 hours away, and then do another signing up there from like 5 to 8. But I'll probably be late. Then Sunday, and then Monday I'm doing the Cherry Hill Library. And for those of you who don't know, Cherry Hill is our in South Jersey. It's like, we used to call it Little LA back in the 80s, because it was very much a urban sprawl kind of place. But a lot of money. They didn't have a Hollywood or anything, but it had kind of a California vibe, because it was just, I don't know, I guess there was just a lot of money. And it was very, very 80s place. The peak of Cherry Hill was the 1980s. It was like the place to be in South Jersey, in terms of the restaurants and the clubs, when there were dance clubs. Now it's kind of run down. Like, it's kind of coming back. There's still cool restaurants there. But then there's they took this, I don't know if you ever heard of this restaurant chain called the Elephant and the Castle. It was kind of this faux, English pub place. Yeah, it wasn't bad. I liked it because they had like pretzels and little sausages. I was really into the whole pub food. You know, I don't drink, but the pub food I'm all into. And so it was there for a while, and then it was connected to a hotel, like a Ramada or something like that. And it was that way for years. And various hotels would come through, and the Elephant in the Castle was the last restaurant. And then bizarrely, and I even did a couple of comic book conventions in the place. But then bizarrely, the place was turned into an old folks home. So, it's weird because it's like, I gotta figure some of the people who live there now full time, who are old folks, probably were 80s, I mean, what did we call them? Yuppies, I guess? 80s yuppies who were at their prime in Cherry Hill, and now they're living in the hotel that used to be kind of probably a cool hotel where you'd take a girl back to and, go or meet a girl in a hotel bar and like, hey, let's get a room. Now it's like an old folks home. Isn't that weird? And, the Elephant in the Castle is like their kitchen and, I guess cafeteria. It's weird, right? But it's still, the city itself, it's not really a city, it's a town. It's like a big town. It's got a lot, it's still got a lot of sprawl. It's got these huge, New Jersey, we have plazas. I assume you guys have plazas, but like in New Jersey, they're, especially in South Jersey, they're epidemic. We, like, whenever there's a free space and somebody gets a commercial license, it's like, oh, let's put a plaza here and like 7 stores, that half of which no one will ever go to. So they just have all these chain stores, but then there's cool restaurants in it. Hollywood Ate My Baby. Hi, Tony. Saw you pop up on the Dunnigan Seinfeld vid? Oh, right. Yeah, I did get a comment in. That was weird because I'm not a paying member. And but they must have been desperate because they wanted, what was the bit? They were doing some bit where they were asking people to ask them questions, and none of the members could think of any questions, and then I asked them one. Yeah, it's a good show. Kyle Dunnigan, man, if you don't watch his show, you really ought to subscribe to him. He does the deep fakes and voices, and man, they're great. They're just so great. Yeah, so I'm dying for him to do Alec Baldwin again. Hasn't done it in a while. Because Alec Baldwin just kills me. Oh man, he just destroys Alec, and I'm worried that Alec Baldwin will go completely out of the news now, and we'll never get him to do it anymore because he tends to be very, very topical. But he does Stallone like all the time, so much that I wonder if he ever gets stuck in the voice. And then he does just about everybody. He does Bill Maher, which is kind of cool. He does Caitlyn Jenner. Ben Shapiro. It's another good one. Hollywood Ate My Baby. First time I've seen him was funny. Yeah. Oh, wow. It's so weird. You saw me on there, and it was the first time you saw Kyle? Huh. That's weird. That's a weird coincidence. I mean, that's like, I think that's the first time I got a, like, thing on the chat. And a lot of times I don't catch them live, so, wow. Coinky-dink. Synchronicity. Yeah, so, anyhow, weekend was pretty good. Pretty good for me. Next weekend's going to be crazy. And then I just signed up for this outside show on December 10th, man. And I'm already cold just thinking about it. I don't know. I'm going to do a show outside in the snow on December 10th. I know. I'm out of my mind, but I can't turn down the money. It's going to be money. I think it's going to be money. I mean, if it's not money, I'll be pretty pissed off and cold. But hopefully by then I will be in... I will have acclimated somewhat to the cold. Hollywood Ate My Baby. Yeah, it was strange. Yeah, that's so weird, dude. So weird that you saw me there. I don't think I saw you, but man, when you get into a big chat like Kyle's or like Sticks and Hammer, the comments just were like you don't have any chance of getting a comment in. None. unless you pay. I did pay once for sticks to promote the Pineys. So, but getting into things here on Twitter, what's trending now? Now we could actually look at the trends, and they might be kind of, sort of on point. So we got vitamin D, Disenchanted. That's a pay one. Browns and Bills, of course. Grimes. That's weird. Trending in New Jersey. Grimes is trending. She must be playing here. And Antifa and BLM. Oh, I assume they did something idiotic and stupid. But yeah, Twitter's just been awesome. Again, not quite as awesome as it was before, but pretty awesome. All right, let's get into it. Black Panther. So, let's assess the damage. It looks like they came in under. They're down 63%. That's not good. That is not good. Now, I don't think Sunday is added in here, but I can't imagine they get much more than like 72. Maybe they hit 75. I don't think they're going to hit 90. They might hit 80. I mean, wind at their backs. They might hit 80 million. But that ain't good. That is not good for them. So they're at 546 million worldwide. And my calculations, I'm being very conservative. 250 million for the budget, which I think is rather high, even for this movie. Because look, they shot most of this in front of green screen. Yeah, they had a few names, but I mean, like Angela Bassett is a name, but she's not the name. Letitia Wright kind of cost you some money, but you know, she was probably locked in. The fierce, apathetic Black Queen, yo! Doing the math on Black Panther. Estimated math, of course. So Angela Bassett and Letitia Wright probably are two biggest names. Was Martin Freeman, but like, he was supporting cast. So I don't even think he was in the movie all that much, other than to be the guy that nobody listened to. So I can't imagine it was a huge payday for him. So Letitia, I would assume, would get the biggest payday. Maybe Angela Bassett would be about the same. And Martin Freeman would get sort of high-end supporting cast kind of money. So it wouldn't be cheap, but when you're talking a budget of $250 million, I don't think that's a lot. I mean, I doubt that adds up to, between the three of them, maybe it adds up to like, I don't know, 20 million, maybe? Go crazy, 30 million. You still got over 200 million for the damn movie, and most of it was probably shot in front of a green screen. So, what are the big expenses here? I mean, sure, the water stuff is expensive, but if you shoot it underwater, which I'm sure they did some of it underwater, but some of it they wouldn't need to. They can do the effect pretty good now, and you hang people by strings, erase the strings, and put them in front of a green screen, slow it down. But I'm sure they shot some of it in the water. I mean, they do the CGI so often now. I mean, the longer they do it, the cheaper it gets. And Namor, he wasn't a name. There's no way he got paid. I mean, he got paid good, but I can't imagine they rolled out the money truck for him. He was like in fourth place at least, I'd say. So, and quite frankly, no, I hate to like say it, but it is true. He is too doughy for the role. I mean, this guy should have been, the guy they should have gotten for Namor should have been ripped. Should have been absolutely ripped. That's the one thing they could have done that would have helped this movie without improving the probably insanely woke script they had on their hands. And I mean, they should have had an insanely ripped dude play Namor, or he should have worked out. Like, just worked out until he was insanely ripped. And he just wasn't. He looked more ripped on the movie poster. Black Queen, R.I.P. Green Ranger. Oh, yeah, that was sad. Yeah. Apparently they're saying it's suicide. Now, I don't think that's been confirmed, but yeah, I heard, and this is way back when, I heard that a lot of the people involved in the Power Rangers didn't get paid very well. JEC, every clip I see of Namor is cringe as hell. I don't know what they were thinking. Yeah, he doesn't look good in the role. You know, you could argue, okay, they're going for this Aztec, Latino look. Okay, why can't you still have a ripped guy? There's plenty of ripped Latinos out there. So, if they had gotten someone who was like built, like Daniel Craig and James Bond built, like just ridiculous, not an ounce of fat on the guy, then you'd be like, okay, like I see why this guy got the role. But I can't see why they even picked him. I mean, can he act? He seemed okay, I guess, but this is a Marvel movie. It's not like acting was at the top of the list of the things you needed to do. And it wasn't even the Namor character, really. It was some version of it that, I don't know, the MCU execs thought would be culturally appropriate or whatever. And so, between all that, like, the one thing they could have done was, I mean, Hollywood, you throw a stick and you'll find guys who are just ripped. That's all they do is work out. I mean, that's part of the deal in Hollywood. If you go to Hollywood and you want to be an actor, the easiest thing you can do is get so ripped, so in shape, and make yourself so, beautiful that they go, well, I got to put this person in the movie just because they're awesome looking. I mean, look at Amber Heard. Amber Heard just, whew. JEC, his dialogue is cringe. His performance is cringe. The crap hanging off his face is cringe. Yeah, that looks really bad, too. His dad bod is laughable. Yeah. Yeah, the stuff, the nose thing, I mean, it just looks dumb. And it's not even the character. It's not even the character. And you're telling me this was like, okay, I mean, this is a look, okay. You're going for, what was the Apocalypto movie? Like, you're going for that look. But even then, the guys in Apocalypto, I think they were in better shape than this guy. And I just don't know why they cast it. I just don't know why. Is this the only woke Latina actor in LA? Can't be. Can't be. There's got to be thousands of them. But getting back to the math. So, we're looking at 546 million. And that's maybe break even, right? So that's what I think. I think this is break even. Maybe it's a little over. If you're conservative, I'm banking this at $500 million. So maybe they're just over the top. But I've heard, from Jeremy at the Quartering, he read an article that said they need to hit 850 million to break even. Now that seems way too high, just way insanely high to me. I would think somebody doubled it twice to get that number. Then they came up with 425 and then they doubled it again. But I think that's too high. But I think we talked about this in previous weeks. 600 to 700 seems to be where it's headed. Because, all right, if let's clock this in at, say, I don't know, 72 million after Sunday's over. So 72 million, 60% of that, and it's going to drop 60% again. So it's going to be, that means it's going to drop like 42 million. It's going to drop like to 30 million next week. So right now we're at 546. Next week, let's say you get another 30 million, and during the week you get another 10, right? So that's Yeah, that's 40 million. You get another 40 million internationally. So now you're up to something like 625, right? So you're at 625 next week. Okay. And you're probably in money range. Then the week after, you're down to about 10 million, and domestically and internationally. So that's, you throw another 20 million on the pile, maybe call it 30. So now you're at yeah, say 650. And then the week after, you're probably down to like 2-3 million, maybe squeak out 10 million between both domestic and international. So maybe you're at 660, and that's about it. And maybe it just limps along to like 680 after a month and a half. 680, maybe it just cracks 700 if you keep it in theaters a little longer than expected. Now, the other thing that may impact the math is next week is Thanksgiving Day weekend. So more people are off, and typically they do go to the movies. Now, is there going to be anything up against Black Panther next week? I don't know. Not really. Not really. When does Avatar come out? I don't think it comes out next week. That comes out like next year. Right? Oh, December 16th. Yeah, no, this year. But yeah, I don't think there's anything big coming out next week. Let me just quick check. Coming soon. Where's the coming soon stuff? Oh God, not movies named coming soon. I want the coming soon. IMDb changed their index, and now it sucks. Now it sucks so much. I can't find anything. I should have done this ahead of time. I know, but oh God, what the hell is? I want to see next week, you morons. Oh, you're no help. No help. Site index with no help whatsoever. You got to have IMDb Pro. Let me check the menu. Top box office. They used to just have coming soon. Here we go. Release calendar. This might help. Okay. So next week. That's the 26th. So this is the stuff coming out. So you get the Fablemans. It's next week. Yeah, middle of the week. The Fablemans. That's not going to be Black Panther. JEC, didn't they push this thing like 2 years? The interest in the loans they took out to make the thing stack up after a while? Yeah, I mean, maybe. I guess. But, I mean, why would they need to take out? Well, yeah, they would have loans because they never do anything with money. But even with the interest, I mean, I guess, okay, stack another 50 million on it, but I don't know. 850 million seems like too much. So the Fablemans, I don't think that's gonna beat it. Bones and All, definitely not. Devotion, did I see that? Oh yeah, I have seen that. That looks okay. It's like a Korean War version of Top Gun with a black pilot. JEC, it cost 250 million. Of course, they took out loans for that. Yeah. I don't even know why I said that. You're right. So yeah, I mean, I guess throw another 50 million on top of it for 2 years, I guess. But even so, say 300 million. I mean, that probably wouldn't. That probably would still put. Okay, like even if you go 300 million and then you double it again, they took out loans for the advertising too. So that's 600 million. I think it'll beat that, but it's probably a break-even situation for them at this rate. Strange World, that's never going to do anything. That's no way that challenges. That's the only movie that would challenge Black Panther in sort of the genre. So I don't think that's going to do anything. It looks so boring. Plus, it's a cartoon. I mean, it seems pretty woke. So maybe it digs into it a little, but so it doesn't have much competition. So it could do okay next week, I guess. Maybe it would just tread water. And then November 25th, same weekend essentially. Yeah. Blackwater, not going to do anything. And Inconvenient Love, I have no idea. Haven't even seen that one. Yeah, so none of the Christmas stuff really comes out until December. Float? Is that going to be a prequel to It? Is that what that is, or is that something else? I don't want to get into it. The Whale, that's going to be highly anticipated. And there's Avatar. Avatar will be the one that would knock it out, but that's not coming for weeks. Black Queen says, talking about the Power Rangers guy, he committed suicide today. That's what I heard too. I don't think it's been confirmed, but like they usually don't say that unless they're pretty sure. It sucks. I feel bad for the guy, but who knows? I mean, could be a lot of different things. It could be he's clinically depressed, and could be he's on drugs. It could be, he just had no money and his career went nowhere, and it's sad. He could have gotten divorced. Divorce will drive you. Phew. So yeah, all right. So I think we're all in agreement here. This hits about 600 to 700 million. Black Queen, Jason Frank David, yep. But I gotta think 700 million would at least be some money, but not enough. I mean, think about it. If you spend $500 and you make, 100 back, that's not really. Or you spend $600, let's say, and you make $700. You only made $100. You kind of put out a lot of money just to make a little bit. That's not a good investment from a business standpoint. You want to at least double your money. So, what this movie needed to make real money is what they thought they would make, like $1.2 billion. Like whatever the first movie did and then some. I think the first movie eventually made $1.2 billion. There's no way this movie's making $1 billion. I don't think it'll ever get there. No way. No way. And word of mouth, I'm surprised I didn't want to say, but I was kind of thinking like, oh, this might like only hit like 40 or something. But after we get the Sunday's numbers on top of this, I think, like I said, I think that's probably about 75. We'll see tomorrow. But that ain't great. I mean, it has to clock in, to me at least, at 80 something. It might just break 80. Like if it was 85, you could say, well, it's almost what it needed. It really needed to hit 90. Like if it hit 90, then you'd be like, oh, okay. That's about right, about 50%, but... And then this was a surprise, the Menu. The Menu is number 2 for the weekend? That's crazy. Yeah, Black Adam, not doing so great. I mean, this is the 5th weekend. I mean, I guess it's going away, so you could chart its progress, but still, it's like, it was number 2 last week. Black Queen, I watched Power Rangers when I was 4, the reruns on Nickelodeon. Yeah, it's the Power Rangers were huge. I mean, I heard that the guy who was the voice of the guy who gave them all their assignments, the big guy, I don't know what his name is. I never really watched it. I was too old for that. And he was like on lunch boxes, and they merchandised the hell out of his image, and they didn't pay him really for that. I heard. And like he would record everything he needed for an entire year's worth of episodes in about 2 hours. So they would only pay him like JC Zordon. Oh, okay, that was his name, Zordon. So Zordon apparently like did all his lines in like 2 days for like a year, and they'd pay him like scale, and that was it. And then they were putting him on lunch boxes. I mean, he was everywhere, and they paid the guy scale. That just seems wrong. They should have given him a little bit of a bonus, especially a taste of the merchandising that his face was on. But I guess his contract didn't cover that, so I remember him complaining, and then they got rid of him. So, yeah, it sucks. It sucks when you're in a hit show and then you can't parlay in it to anything, right? It's like, my face is everywhere. How about a little money? And then just go, get out of here. Black Queen, I heard Dark Side of Blue Ranger from original series was mistreatment for his homosexuality. Did I hear that? I heard there was something going on with the female ranger, but I don't remember that. Maybe. I mean, keep in mind, it was a Japanese show that they took and then they edit it, and then they would edit in the American stuff, right? So they'd show the Japanese guys fighting and doing kung fu, and then they'd like cut to a guy going, "Oh well, that was stressful." So I had a friend who worked for Fox, and he did the translations for some of the cartoons, and I think he may have worked on Power Rangers too. I don't remember, but they would hand him the script, which would be like a computer translation from Japanese to English, and then he would have to smooth it out to make it more conversational. And he did that with a lot of their cartoons, and apparently, I think he did it with some of the Power Rangers episodes too. That was his gig. JC, you could have filmed all of Zordon's scenes in like 20 minutes. They just replayed the same footage of his head in a tube and just dub over his dialogue. Yeah. I mean, for what he did, I'm sure he got paid okay, but again, it seems like they're making millions of dollars at the time. They're making a lot of money. Throw the guy a bone, I say. Just to keep him happy. That's what I would do, but that's why I don't have millions of dollars, I guess. Like, just throw the guy a bonus because, we made so much money. Like, if you just volunteer that, your talent is so happy. And you don't want a guy like Zordon, the face. I mean, he was the face to a certain extent of the Power Rangers for a little while, and then they got rid of him. But, like, you don't want him on the street, right? You don't want him appearing in something where it's like, oh, he did some softcore porn thing, and then it becomes a news story. I mean, this was back in the 90s where that kind of stuff could have happened, right? Like, he could have been like, well, I don't have any work here. I can't live in LA. I can't afford to live like this. And this has happened. This hasn't been the first time. I think it was, I don't know, I think it was Maud Flanders, the voice of Maud Flanders. I think they flew her in for her voice. And then I heard that part of the reason they got rid of her was because they just didn't want to pay that anymore. And I just thought, well, you paid it for years and years and years, and she's like he's not a central character, but kind of a big character on the show. It just seems like, I don't know. It seems like you're just stiffing people to stiff them, to just save money. Which, on the one hand, as a ruthless capitalist, I kind of get, but on the other hand, it's like, just throw people some money. I mean, in the end, I think it's better, right? I mean, look at George Lucas. Maud Flanders' voice actress died, I thought. I don't think so. I think she was still alive. And then that's what I heard. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. It's been a while trying to remember the whole story. But like, you look at George Lucas, right? He films Star Wars. It explodes. He gives Mark Hamill, Harrison Ford, Carrie Fisher some bonus money that he didn't have to give them. Now, he needed them because he wanted them for the sequels, but it was smart. Kept them happy. Kept them wanting to be in it. They could have held out for more money. They could have said, F you. This isn't my career. Harrison Ford, he was in some pretty good movies. aside from Star Wars. Fairly big movie star. Um, Quite frankly, I wish he had been in more movies while he was still young, but, you know, he did do Indiana Jones. Now I think he's kind of ruining that. He did do Blade Runner, and he ruined that, in my view. So and he kind of ruined Han Solo, too, so maybe not. Maybe not. So, I don't know. It just seems like the greed never ends in Hollywood. You know, and part of it is they don't really have millions and millions of dollars. That's part of the grift. Like all these numbers, they're next to meaningless. They project these numbers out to make them look bigger than they are. J.C. Harrison Ford was in Apocalypse Now and Conversation. Yeah, he was also in The Cisco Kid, another great film. Love that movie. You know. He was in, what's he in? Force 10 from Navarone? One of those movies that was very much like Force 10 from Navarone, I think, when he was young. But, like, I don't know, when he was big, then he did, like, I don't know, was it The Mosquito Coast and a couple other movies that I just went, what? I wish he had done more action films, I guess I'm saying. But, yeah, it's just like, I don't know, throw some money around. I get it. They don't really have all these monies because the money is, you know, they blow smoke and say, oh, we made hundreds of millions of dollars on this movie. And they didn't really, you know, because they're always, I've heard, cooking the books in Hollywood pretty severely. So, JC, who was a working character actor in supporting roles, Star Wars made him a star. It's true. There's a whole Carpenter story too. He was a carpenter. But like right after Star Wars, and then he did get more work. But I don't know. I wish he had gotten just a couple more action roles. Would have been good in them. And then it seemed like he disappeared for a while, and then he came back and did like Witness, which was really good. And then he did those movies where he's like the president. It was Air Force One. Is that the movie? Now he's like gonna do the Red Hulk and Thunderbolts. I just don't. What? It just. I don't get that one. Anyhow, it just seems like Hollywood. I want to spread the wealth a little bit, you know? And it was a total shock to me that The Menu came in second this weekend at $9 million. JC, he was already almost 40 when he did Indiana Jones. Yeah? Well, that's your prime, though. You know? That's kind of your prime, I think, for action roles, because you've been around long enough to get in them. You know, like now, like Indiana Jones, he just shouldn't even be doing it. He's just way too old. He's 80. You know? He could have done more Indiana Jones earlier. You know, when he was still like 50, 60, or whatever. They could have just done more of them. And then it would have been about him, because it wouldn't be 2022. You know? But The Menu is like... I mean, it's only in 3,000 theaters as compared to Black Panther. But it very much felt like an indie movie, so I'm kind of surprised it did $9 million. JC, yeah, and he did 3 Indiana Jones, and then after that he was too old for the action roles. I don't know. I mean, he could have just done another Indiana Jones right after the third one. Something not involving Martians. But... And that's when they could have done, you know, they could have started to set up a son character that would have made sense, as opposed to the what they did. What is The Menu about? I think, I don't know. I watched the trailer like twice, and it's about a weird chef who's very pretentious, and a bunch of diners that come to this fancy food tasting or restaurant in the middle of nowhere, and then he does horrible things to the diners, I guess. But they don't specifically tell you in the trailer, so it's kind of frustrating. So I'm not sure if he makes them kill each other and then cooks them somehow, or that he just does horrible things to them in order to, I don't know, make the experience something more. Like maybe he creates elaborate traps for them and some of them die and then the rest feel more alive when they eat his food or something. It doesn't really show you. JC, there wasn't supposed to be any after the third movie. It was a perfect trilogy, and they had to ruin it because they were bringing back everything from the 80s and the late 2000s. Yeah, I get that's kind of why they did it at the time, but people liked him in the role. He was still kind of young enough to do it, and if that's the case, yeah, I mean, like, they're bringing back everything, and it's just, you know, at least if they had done it then, exhausted Indiana Jones, we may have been spared this Indiana Jones. And now the fifth one is just going to be an absolute train wreck, and they're going to try to push it on us like it's great. So, I mean, if you have to make more Indiana Jones, if you're making all the way up to Indy 5, I want you to make them like, you know, 30 years ago. Not now. But yeah, the menu, I don't know. It looks okay. I mean, it's Ralph Fiennes. He's good. But the real shocker here, too, is number 3, The Chosen, Season 3. This is from Fathom Events. Like, I never quite understood what it was, but they play, like, events. Like, sometimes they do plays or concerts, but they do it in movies. But this is some sort of TV show, religious TV show. And it's in 2,000 theaters and made almost as much as The Menu did. Now, like, even at 9 million, being number 2 on a weekend for your debut, that's not great, except that it's kind of a small movie without much of an audience, other than you got Ralph Fiennes in it. But the religious thing, making almost as much. Riff Tracks does events through them. Yeah, that's right. I wouldn't mind seeing a Riff Tracks at Fathom Events. My theater has it. Some kind of, like, you know, it's almost like cable TV for the theaters. I had a college professor that said, "Oh, you know, in the future, the cable TV, you'll be going to the theater to watch cable TV." And I just thought, that's insane. You're insane. You're an insane man. How are they going to hook up the TV to the movie theaters? That makes no sense. And now here they are, basically doing it. I don't think that this is exactly what he meant at the time, but it's just weird that religious stuff now is cracking. I mean, it's on the numbers. It's in the box office mix here. So I think that's evidence that the box office in general has gone to hell. that this is even on the list and that it's on number 3. Oh my God. Who the hell would go to pay to see a TV show? I guess religious people. I don't know. I mean, it's in over 2,000 theaters. So I assume that's like every theater except the ones on the coast. Right? Like all the ones on the coast are like dark. And then all the ones in the middle are all red. And that's where all the and then like maybe like Chicago, they're not playing it there. And that's it. And then Black Adam is 4, which you'd expect it to still be on the list, but it only did 4 million. So the total on that died pretty quick. Yeah, the total on that, only 366 million. Did better overseas. And that's the other thing about Black Panther. It might do better overseas. So if it only does 10 million here, it still may do like 20 million over there. But And maybe that's what they're going for. Maybe that's what Disney thinks is attractive. They're going for a more global audience. Ticket to Paradise still hanging in there, and that goes to show you, I think, star power isn't totally dead yet. Especially not the worldwide box office for Clooney and Roberts. But this is probably a middle-aged person's movie anyway. So, did 160 million, or 160, they're going to do a sequel to that. Either that, or they're going to just team up George Clooney and Julia Roberts again in a movie very similar to this. Because I think that's, 160 million. I mean, they did go to an exotic place to shoot this thing. Is that money? I don't know. Gotta figure the budget. What would be the budget on this thing? I gotta think it's at least 50 million. I mean, there's probably not a ton of effects in it. So, I don't know. I can't see this being like $100 million, though. You know? There's no period piece stuff in it. No effects. So, I can't see it being over 50 million. I guess it could be. I mean, it is in a exotic location, but I gotta think that's money. Right? You gotta think that's money. So, if it's 50 million, they spent 50 million to advertise it, so, cost you 100 million, made 160, so you made 60 million. That's not bad for a $50 million movie, essentially. Seashed, JC, spending more than 20 million on a rom-com is gross. Well, but they are two big names, because I gotta figure Clooney and Julia Roberts themselves got paid. God, you'd have to throw them at least each 5 million. At least, I would think. Probably more. Probably more than that. I mean, I don't know. If you didn't give them a lot of money up front, you'd have to give them back end, and they would get actual back end. Unlike a lot of, they have this thing in Hollywood where you get points, back end points, and there are gross points and net points. And you never want net points because you never see those. So net means the net profit of the movie. So let's say you get, 2 points. Screenwriters are supposed to get 2 points on a movie, 2 net points. So if a movie makes $100,000, you're supposed to get $2,000. But that's only if Hollywood decides the movie made money, right? That's where they charge everything to the movie until there's no money left to tax. And then they go to the IRS. Well, we didn't make any money on the movie. See, we had to pay all these people to promote it. And why it costs so much money for promotion is you then pay everybody else again. Rather than say, keep the money, you spend the money on your stars promoting it to drive more sales, right? So you pay Julia Roberts and George Clooney again to go on a press junket to promote Ticket to Paradise. And they travel all over the world. And they go to all the premieres. And they do all the interviews. And they stay in the hotels. And then their people have to stay in hotels. And you have to pay their people. And then they have riders in their contracts. Like they get steak every night. Or green M&Ms. Or whatever. And then you got to pay for their families. And on and on. And then the executives come. And the director comes. And their families come. And their entourage comes. And they have riders. And on and on and on and on. And that's how you spend millions of dollars promoting a movie. And that's how you write it all off, because it's an expense on the movie. So you have a movie like Ticket to Paradise, and it costs $50 million, but you just keep spending the money on advertising, and you also pay yourself. So everybody involved in the movie is like, well, I'm not going to Paris for free to Cannes. You got to pay me. I'm working. Yeah, I'm working when I go to Cannes and I go to the premiere and then I go to the hotel and I eat steak foie gras and what is it called? No, what's Archer eat? With the peppercorns. Oh God, is it steak foie gras? No, it's something else. Oh God, it was pretty good. I had it once. Um, but you eat like a king and live like a French monarch for 2 months on the promotional tour, and you just keep paying yourself to do it. So not only do your expenses all get paid, you're also being paid as an employee of the studio for doing that. So what did you do today? Well, I had lunch with George Clooney and his family, and I said, "Oh, good job, George. Oh, thank you." And that's their job sometimes. And it's true, they do have to do that. I mean, it might be a total nightmare to have lunch with George Clooney. I don't know. And his wife and his kids, and have to hear about how great he is and have to say nice things to him. And maybe you don't feel like doing it, or you got a cold or whatever. But that's how it works. So that's how they spend all this insane amounts of money. Because you might as well spend it, because otherwise you got to give it to the government. So then you get the time. It's time for taxes, and that's how the studio shows the IRS. Look, we didn't make any money. And the IRS goes, "Oh, you poor baby, you didn't make any money." No, we spent all $5 billion this year, and then some. Oh no, oh no, says the IRS. Well, you don't have to pay us anything. So, yeah, it's a good gig if you can get it. That's why you want to be on a movie, kids. Because they pay you to make the movie, and then they pay you to promote the movie, and then, along the way, you're just getting gifts. I mean, imagine staying in four-star hotels. You get all kinds of crazy stuff. Free food, free shampoos, and little gifts and hair dryers. I don't know, iPods, whatever. iPods, not now, but back in the day. You go to an award show, you get those. It's all charged to the studio. That's the running gag. If you've ever seen, like, Robert Evans had like a cartoon about being a movie producer, and the running gag was he'd just live on all his movies. Whatever movie he was making, charge it to the movie. Even if he was doing something that had nothing to do with the movie. And they don't check this stuff. They don't care. I had a friend, and she was working at Disney. Her and her partner had an office, and Disney would just keep a tab of everything they spent. And if they ever got a movie greenlit and made millions and millions of dollars, the first thing Disney would do would be collect their tab. Otherwise, they'd just run up the tab. And so I can't say much more than that, other than a certain person ran up the tab. And, and just got a bunch of cool stuff for himself. Or herself. I don't know who did it. I don't know. I'm making up a story. Anyhow, that's how you spend millions and millions of dollars, and how you don't make any money on the books. So you never want to take net points. That's the whole point of the story. I just got to it. So if they offer you net points, you say no. You don't want net. They're never going to see net points, because the movie's always going to be like, "Oh, it made no money. We lost money on that movie." But if you take gross points, even if you take a fraction of a percent of a gross point, you always get money. You always get money, because it'll be gross, right? So this is the gross of the movie of, I don't know, Black Panther. Domestic gross is $287 million. So if you even have a fraction of a percent of that, guess what? You're going to get a nice big paycheck. And so, Black Queen. It's called Disney's capitalism. You spelled capitalism wrong. It is capitalism, because the taxes are so high. And otherwise, they'd be paying these taxes through the nose. And rich people can get away with this because they have an army of lawyers and accountants, but you can't unless you have, unless you are an accountant. Then you might be able to get away with it, but you still might get audited, and then you still go through the nightmare. Because they're going to audit you rather than Disney, because auditing you is easy, because eventually you'll just run out of money and say, okay, what can I pay to make this pain go away? As opposed to Disney, that could just throw lawyers and accountants at the problem until the government goes away. So the government goes, oh, this is too hard. Perfect example is the story of Scientology, I heard. And that story goes something like Scientology wanted to be a religion so it wouldn't pay taxes at all. And they were fighting and fighting and fighting the United States in court to get that in various lawsuits. They're very litigious, I hear, in the Scientology world. And eventually, it was the U.S. government that cried uncle. Let's just call this a day. We'll let you be a religion, but you got to drop all these crazy lawsuits. And yeah, they did. So that's the U.S. government at work. They should not, in my view, have dropped that. They should have doubled down and investigated Scientology for frivolous lawsuits. Sorry, I got a weird thing going on in my ear today. So, anyhow, but if you take gross points, again, always take gross points. If you take any points at all, you'll always get paid. Now, if you actually take gross points, if you're a screenwriter for a low-budget movie, really what you're asking is the gross of the producer when he sells the movie to a distributor, most likely, which is more realistic. So you're not going to get the gross of the movie because they don't want to pay you that kind of money, but you'll get the gross of like the sale of the if you have gross points. So like I have a couple of some movies I worked on, I technically have gross points, but you also have to know that they sold the movie so you can say, hey, where's my money, if they don't bother to tell you. And that's another whole thing. JEC, members of the church actually got jobs in the government to steal documents they had on the church. Wow. Yeah, it's a whole thing. There's like a website dedicated to it. I forget what it's called, but my friend who was really into that, like not into Scientology, but like reading about it and how crazy it was. I don't remember all the details, but it was bad. I remember reading about it and going, oh my God. But I was just so offended that the U.S. government would just give up against an organization like Scientology. Like, we don't want to do this anymore. This is too tough. Like, what are you going to do? Just surrender the whole country to them next? A lot of people have this idea the U.S. government can just squash you if it wants. It kind of shows you that they can't if you have enough money. If you have enough money and power, no, the U.S. government goes, oh, excuse us. So let that be a lesson, kids. Get a lot of money. And you can get a lot of money by taking gross points instead of net. And then number 6 is She Said, which is about Harvey Weinstein. Kind of didn't do well for an opening. Did like 2.2 million. But I kind of wouldn't expect it to do super well, simply because kind of a depressing subject and probably not really meant to be a feature. Feels more like it should be like a documentary, Maybe like 50 years from now they could make a real movie about Harvey Weinstein, like after he's dead, and you could really get into details and really make him look like a monster, but I don't think they could do that now. It's a little too soon, too. I mean, it was literally in the news. It's still in the news. Kind of too soon to make a movie. Not that it's too soon to talk about, but it's too soon to make a movie about it, I think. Maybe like 20 years down the road when, again, Weinstein will probably be dead by then. And, and then you could say more about him. But now I kind of think, they'd have to be a little careful. I mean, what else does he have to do other than try to get out of prison and then sue people that talk about him, I would think. Black Queen, She Said movie? Yeah, it's all about Harvey Weinstein. And things around it. Lyle Crocodile still hanging in there. Smile, cracked 100 domestically. They're definitely going to make a sequel to that. See, and that's at 51% from the previous week. And look at Lyle, 41%. So, Black Panther dropped 63%. That ain't good. That ain't good. See, these other movies, too, 50. Till dropped 64. Triangle of Sadness, well, see, it's only in 128 theaters. It's an indie movie. It only dropped 33%. It kind of went up and then dropped back down. Tar, which I saw a clip from, that was it was a very based clip, by the way. Kind of was sort of impressed by the scene. It was the main character, Kate Blanchett, dressing down one of her woke students and just rips into him. It's kind of a great scene. Check it out on Twitter if you get a chance. But yeah, I mean, everything's kind of going down the tubes. These aren't great numbers overall. You know, these top 5 to 10 movies should really be 5 to 10 million instead of 1 to 10. And most of them really closer to, you know, like Black Adam should probably still be doing better, but just not doing that well. Nobody's going to the movies. Why go to the movies? I watched. You want to hear a good movie to watch? A Christmas Story, Christmas, the sequel to the original Christmas Story. Now, I raved about this in my review, so I'm going to talk about it again. It's a really good movie. It has so much heart. It's an actual sequel to A Christmas Story as opposed to the Daniel Stern movie, or really the Charles Grodin movie that they made closer to when the first movie came out. You know, I haven't seen them, but they don't look very good. Oh my God, what the? Get out of here, bot. Hold on, I gotta get rid of this bot. What do I do? Report? There you go. I don't know. I guess I'll say pornography. It looks like pornography. There we go. And then I'll remove them. And remove. Get out of here, bot. Okay. So yeah, A Christmas Story Christmas is great because they bring back all the kid actors from the first movie. They make a ton of callbacks to the first movie. If you're a fan of the first movie, A Christmas Story, a classic if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. Go to HBO Max. You can watch both movies and watch the first one if you haven't seen it first, and then watch the second one because they make all these great callbacks. The guys who made the second one really dove in, and they even do a great thing which they show you in the credits where they don't recreate scenes from the first movie, but a lot of the scenes in the second movie take place in the similar locations like 20, 30 years later. So they compare, like, there's the famous scene in the first movie, Hollywood Ate My Baby. I'm going to check that out after watching your vid. Yeah, you definitely should, especially if you've seen the first movie. So, like, the famous scene in the first movie is he goes to see Santa at a department store, and this is in the 50s. The new movie takes place in 73. And so they show you a shot-by-shot comparison. Here's the original movie, and then here's the adult characters who were kids before standing in the department store in a similar shot. And not that they're doing the same exact things. They really had their own, personalities and comedy bits, and it's very wholesome. I mean, the movie has so much heart. I think it was more nostalgic than it was funny, but I still found it very funny. And I'm very biased, so, don't come at me because I'm a bit of a boomer. If you didn't like A Christmas Story, you probably won't like it, but I don't understand how you would hate A Christmas Story. It's a pretty funny movie. But the guys really drilled down. And one of the reasons you should do this, screenwriters, if you do write a sequel to something, you should respect the previous movie, because after watching the second movie, I wanted to go back and watch the first movie again because there were so many details. And I wanted to relive those details. So I think a lot of people will. So for HBO Max, this is perfect. As opposed to the other sequels they tried to do for Christmas Story where they recast people and, it wasn't the same. Hollywood Ate My Baby. I've seen the first one, but it was so long ago I'll have to rewatch. Yeah, I mean, they also don't go too far down the rabbit hole that you can't get it if you've already seen the first movie. Um, I kind of couldn't remember the name of his second friend, but then they reintroduce him, and they keep. They also flash back to the first movie a couple of times, but not too much. JC, I never liked A Christmas Story. What? Always thought it was corny. I don't think I ever sat through the whole thing. Don't get what people see in it. Yeah, it's Americana. It is very wholesome, and um, you know, I mean, and the second movie is the exact same tone. So I can't really talk too much about it without giving away some of the bits. But Ralphie, who's the kid in the first one, who, by the way, had a hand in writing the story in the second one, he plays the dad, and now he has to make, Christmas perfect for his family because he's under the gun to make it perfect, and they don't have a lot of money, and all kinds of things go wrong. So it focuses more on, the first movie focuses on the kids, and now the kids as adults are the focus of the second movie. So the first movie is more of a kids movie, and the second movie is more, it's still a family movie, but the focus is more on the same characters but as adults. So it felt a little bit about, it's like a more wholesome version of Homer from The Simpsons in like the 70s. It struck every chord for me. I mean, I'm a 70s kid, so all the stuff I like recognized. So I was nostalgic for that, and I had seen the movie back in the 80s. The movie came out in the 80s, by the way, but it was about the 50s. Now, the second movie takes place in the 70s, like 50 years prior. It's a movie they should have made. They should have made this movie 20 years ago, is the problem with it. Yeah, they should have made this movie in like the 2000s. Would have been perfect, but better late than never. I thought it was good, but you'll probably find it corny. If you found the first one corny, you'll definitely find this one corny. It's a lot of member berries, a lot of them. So, but highly recommended for those of you who liked A Christmas Story. And let's get into the trades a little bit. Here's Variety saying she said bombs. Oof. Wow. Variety never says stuff like that. Why aren't awards season movies resonating with audiences? Oh, because you people are so tone deaf and idiotic. You can't evaluate anything based on merit. You have to evaluate it based on your woke ideology. Like she said, again, it's not an unimportant movie in terms of Hollywood, but it's a little soon and kind of depressing. So I don't know what you expected. Ooh, let me go see people's lives get ruined. It just happened. And I bet Rose McGowan isn't in this thing, and she should totally be in it. I mean, maybe they have an actress playing Rose. I don't know, but in fact, I think they should make a movie about her. A few years from now, when after Harvey dies, I think that's when they should make the movie, because then they can really make the movie. Then they don't have to worry about him per se, and they could just like really delve into it. That's just my opinion. Ben Affleck and Matt Damon launch artist equity with Redbird. Artist equity? I don't like the sound of that. What the hell does artist equity mean? That sounds communist. Set up film veteran Michael Joe set as COO of startup that vows to expand profit participation and other talent-friendly working environment. Okay. All right. Maybe. I don't like the term equity, though. I don't think that's a good term. But look, I mean, there has to be a balance. Yeah, I'm saying give the talent more money, but it also should be a balance of that control. You can't give them too much money. Talent will break you because they're talent and they're crazy. I'm crazy. I'm talent. I already know I'm crazy. Yeah, I want to do the Pineys TV show, and believe me, I'd spend all the money to make it. So you'd have to put me on a short leash and a budget, or else I'd go nuts. I'd buy a town and recreate Abe's hat from the Pineys. That's actually my plan, by the way, because I would see it as an actually cost cutting measure, because you would shoot 99% of the show in the town. So if you just bought the town, some town in South Jersey that nobody wanted anyway, and then built the sets, you could leave them up. And if the show lasted 5 years or more, it would be fine. But it would be a huge expense. I mean, it ain't cheap to buy a town, especially in New Jersey, and the taxes you would have to pay. But, yeah, I mean, that's good in theory. The number one thing you have to do with these groups is you have to make good movies, or it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Oh, we got a great setup where you get more money. Did you make any good movies? No, they all lost money. Well, okay. I mean, that's not good. If they don't make money, and that's part of the problem, because, certain movies, they only made money because the producer was a ruthless capitalist and he fired the right people at the right time and screwed everybody over. But, you have to also, if you have a good movie, it kind of doesn't matter. But sometimes you do have a good movie and it struggles to make money. It's a very crazy business. So, all right, done with that. Here's Jason David Frank. He's all over the trades today. Here they are touting Wakanda like it's doing well. I don't think it's doing well. And what else we got? Anything exciting? Not really. Over at Hollywood Reporter, here's the menu. Director Mark Mylod wanted to film to, quote, explore an artist in pain, consumed with self-loathing. Ralph Fiennes plays a brutish celebrity chef with surprises in store for his elite guest. Don't know if he kills them. I think he does. They don't show it in the trailer, though. They're very cagey about that. I love the title of this thing, by the way. Fleischman is in trouble. I don't think it'll be all that good, but just about a guy getting a divorce. It's based on a book, but man, I love that title. Fleischman is in trouble. It's a good title. And it's Jesse Eisenberg as the lead. Black Panther Wakanda Forever, where the sequel's box office drop ranks in the MCU universe. Let's see. Wait a minute. It shouldn't be MCU universe. That's what the U stands for in MCU, Hollywood Reporter. Ryan Coogler's sequel declined 63% in the second weekend at the domestic box office. A pandemic-era best for Marvel Studios. Oh, come on. You're really going to use the pandemic as an excuse? Number 1, biggest drops, Black Widow. Number 2, Thor, Love and Thunder. Number 3, Spider-Man, No Way Home. Sure, but it fell from 260 to 84? I don't know. That movie had legs. That movie was a beast. Doctor Strange, 67%. Overall, 16 MCU films have declined between 59 and 50% in their second outings, including Avengers Endgame. I mean, which one was No Way? That was the last one, right? No Way Home, right? No, or was it Far From Home? Was No Way Home for? I don't remember them all, but I mean, I guess again, institutional momentum from the first movie, and like 181 million is not 260 million. It's better than Thor: Love and Thunder. So it's a weird comparison. Like, it's close to Doctor Strange, right? So you got Doctor Strange opened at 187 and dropped to 61. That's pretty close. That would be the closest movie. So it didn't drop quite as far as that, but close. And how did Doctor Strange do in the lineup? Not so good. This is a bad lineup, Hollywood. This feels like cope. Feels like cope. If it looks like cope, smells like cope, it's probably cope. Over at Deadline, otherwise known as Variety 2, more on Twitter, more cope. Speaking of cope, more on the Power Rangers, more on Matt Damon and Ben Affleck. It's all the same stuff. There was something about Bones and All. I forget. Must be on it. Oh, the Screen Rant. Here we go. You know you have a good movie when you have to write articles like this. Bones and All, ending explained. Yeah, that makes me want to see the movie. What the F happened? I better go to Screen Rant and figure out how this movie ended. Because I paid all this money and I don't know? What are you, out of your minds? No, thank you. I don't like movies explained to me. Nah. Now, you gotta explain the ending of a movie? No, thank you. No, thank you. I didn't need the ending of the, what was it? The Chris Nolan thing. Inception. I didn't need the ending of that explained. It was supposed to be what it was. Like, oh, does the top fall? Does it not? Blah, blah, blah. Is he dreaming? Is he awake? Whatever. This isn't helping me see your stupid movie, which looks very stupid, by the way. Does anybody have a desire to see this movie? Let's get a count. Is anybody going to go see Bones and All? Ugh. Looks gross. They treat like cannibalism like it's I don't know, it's like an addiction, right? Oh no, you were born a cannibal. I feel so bad for you. Yeah, I can't stop eating people. I mean, there's a scene in it from the trailer where, like, the girl's at a sleepover with her friends, and for some reason, another one of the girls is got her fingers near her mouth, and then she just puts it in her mouth and bites down. JC, I don't even know what it is. Carter Jane, I'm not. Bones and All is the kid from Dune is on the left. I don't think I've seen the girl on the right in anything else. And the premise is they're both cannibals, and they fall in love, and so, but they Hollywood Ate My Baby. Nope. So, JC, what is it with Hollywood cannibals? I don't know, and they're treating this like she has a problem, but it's kind of not her fault. It's not her fault she was born a cannibal. So she's in this sleepover, and the other girl gets her finger a little too close, and she puts it in her mouth kind of playfully, but then like bites down on it, and then they cut away in the trailer. But I'm sure it's incredibly gross. And then the idea is like she's a cannibal and she can't help herself. And then she ends up killing people and eating them, and she's on the run with Timothy Chalamet eating people. JC, remember Armie Hammer got Me Too'd because he was texting his girlfriend he wanted to eat her. Yeah, which, I don't think he actually did anything, although there were rumors. I don't know, in Armie Hammer's case, my thought is he maybe did do something with some other A-listers that they don't want to talk about. Like maybe they all got together and, I don't know, ate a human thigh or something. And not that they killed anybody, but that they ate it. It's just because they could and they're rich. And now, like, they were worried that was going to leak out, and that's why he's being, like, crushed, because they want to make sure you're not going to talk about that. And you won't have a career if you do. Or not. Maybe he's just a weirdo that got caught up and they're destroying his career. But, yeah, that was exactly what happened to Armie Hammer. And so now they've got a whole movie celebrating cannibalism. Carter Chain, Timothy Chalamet is a good actor in my opinion. Not everything he does is gold, though. He probably can't save this. Yeah, I mean, you can't save a concept like this. I can't root for cannibals. But that's what they're trying to do. It's like Romeo and Juliet. They're on the run, eating people because they have to. They have the hunger. It's kind of like that episode of um, JC Army Hammer. From a rich family, if he wanted to eat someone, he could fly to some backwater country and pay to eat someone. Yeah, I guess he could, but I think from the standpoint of being rich, it's more of a thrill if they do it here, right? They go to some secret like restaurant that only rich people know about and they serve human food. But again, they didn't kill anybody to get it. I'm not suggesting that maybe they just, like they wait around till someone dies and then they harvest, and then smuggle out the meat somehow, and then, yeah, something like that. Although maybe they did kill a guy. I don't know. Maybe they just paid a guy and chopped off his leg. And they say, well, we'll give you a bunch of money if we can eat your leg. And he's like, okay. Ugh. Either way, it all sounds gross and crazy. And so does this movie. Like, you could do a movie about two crazy serial killers in love, kind of like the Joker and Harley, and they're eating people. Like, I mean, it wouldn't be much better, but from a dramatic standpoint, from a script writing, movie making standpoint, you could kind of maybe make that work. Kind of like a darker version of Natural Born Killers. JC, a lot of undocumented children coming over the border. Yeah, possible. I mean, I didn't want to go that far, but it's possible. But this feels, the tone's all wrong. Like, the tone is, oh no, I'm a cannibal and I can't stop. Yeah, you can. You could be locked up where you won't get to eat people. Then you'd stop, and you wouldn't die from not eating people. So eventually, you would, I don't know, be cured. But that this is more like, oh, I can't stop eating people. So it's like the episode of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I don't know if you've ever seen it. Frank, Danny DeVito's character, they've been stealing his steaks. So he replaces the steak with raccoon meat. And Dee and Charlie steal the steak and eat it. And he tells them it's human. And that they have the hunger, and now they have the taste for human flesh. So the whole episode is them. JC, imagine trying to romanticize cannibalism. Yeah, exactly. So now the whole episode is them. They're convinced they're cannibals and that they need to eat human flesh. And so they end up going to a morgue to try to negotiate with a guy to get a leg or something, and then they can't do it. And then eventually they find out that the reason they're so messed up is because they ate raccoon and it's full of parasites, and they have to go get to the hospital to get unparasite, I don't know, fixed. They don't have the hunger, they have some other disease from eating raccoon. But at least that was a funny show, not meant to be serious. This is supposedly serious. Yeah, I can't take it seriously. I mean, at least if it's like serial killers, and in the end they get what's coming to them, you can kind of go, well, that was a tour de force of garbage, but at least at the end they got what's coming to them. This feels like, oh, I'm rooting for these young cannibals to survive. Like, what? It's just like, that would be the soundtrack, I would imagine. You could play Fine Young Cannibals in the background. I think it takes place in the 80s, though. Again, that's what everybody seemed to be doing. I predicted this, that they're going to put everything back in the past so they don't have to deal with woke stuff. I think it takes place in the past. I'm not sure. It takes place in areas that could kind of go either way. I don't remember seeing a cell phone in it, so that's always the key. If you see a smartphone, you're like, oh, that's new. But yeah, I'm not seeing a stupid movie. John Leguizamo, Leguizamo. Outraged Super Mario Brothers did not cast an actor of color as the title hero. And then someone pointed out to Leguizamo that he's not Italian. And that he's been playing Italians in movies for years. Oh, but that's okay. It's okay when he does it, apparently, said the Italian. Yeah, not cool, dude. And really, it's a video game character, and the less they make Mario the Italian, the better, I say. And this was the other big story. Chris Hemsworth, he's doing this show, and during the course of the show, they test him, and he's got the genetic predisposition for Alzheimer's. And now it's kind of hit him hard, and he claims he's going to change the way he's going to do movies and stuff. I think he's going to do less, because he's probably got millions and millions of dollars. So, if the clock's a ticking on your brain, you probably think, oh, I think I should spend more time with my family doing cool stuff rather than making movies. And so he also announced that he refuses to work with any more Mad Geniuses directors, which everybody's interpreting as a dig as to Taika Waititi, which I could see. I could see them calling him a mad genius. That's a shame, because I think Waititi is so talented and so funny, and yet of all things, he had to ruin Thor, and he has to get all confrontational on Twitter and everything. It's like, why don't you just do comedies, bro? Why don't you just do your comedy? You did the pirate thing. That looked cool. I haven't seen it yet. Definitely What We Do in the Shadows is hilarious. I mean, the Thor 3 was great. Why'd you have to do this? Why'd you have to wreck yourself with woke? It just kills comedy. It really does. It kills it for me. Andor. The Andor mess. Anybody watching Andor? I doubt it. Showrunner admits show is chasing the audience after expecting to have a gigantic, instantaneous audience. Yeah, you're chasing the audience because your show is like Star Wars communism, from what I've seen of it. Hollywood Ate My Baby. His early films were great. They really were. It's like he's been tarnished by Hollywood. Another thing, Jojo Rabbit was good. It is. It's so good. It's so good. And like him playing the bad guy from Germany, which I can't say on YouTube, hilarious. Freaking hilarious. It's exact. When I saw that, I thought, oh, he's not woke. There's no way this guy is woke. And then he comes out with Thor 4, like, dude. But, as they say, when they back the money truck to your house, are you going to say no? Are you going to say no? 15th Doctor, who City Gatwa gets new companion in Millie Gibson. Doctor Who is very dead, and the reason I think it's dead is because the actors they got playing Doctor Who characters now are way too good looking for Doctor Who. Way too good looking. I mean, there's good looking, and then there's like too good looking for the role. She is way too hot to be on Doctor Who. Sorry. And JEC, no one knows what the hell Andor is supposed to be about. I thought Andor was a planet they blew up in the first one. Wasn't Andor? Is that the planet they blow up? So this is a prequel before they blow up the planet? Well, maybe the Empire did us a favor. Oh, it's a planet of commies? Yeah, blow that one up. Was it Andor? Is that the name? It did begin with an A. I didn't think it was Andor. I thought it was something else. So she was Princess of Andor? JC, 15th Doctor. I thought the female Doctor was the 13th. Yeah, but I guess they're counting David Tennant coming back for to try to save the show, the reset, and then they're gonna make him. Andor was a character in Rogue One, apparently. What the hell was the planet they blew up though. Now I'm trying to remember the name. I don't think it was Andor though. It was like a longer name, but I can't remember. Um, yeah, no, I think they're counting David Tennant as the 14th, and then the guy they got for the new Doctor, who's gay. He's going to be the first gay Doctor. He's way too good looking too. He's ripped. He's more ripped than Namor. He should have played Namor. Alderaan, that was it. Was the planet they blew up. I looked it up. Thank you. Right. It wasn't Andor. It was Alderaan. Alderaan. Yes. Yeah. So they didn't blow up that planet. They should have. It's full of commies apparently. Everything I've seen that came out of Andor looks like they're trying to make communism work on Andor. Yeah, so these actors are just too good looking. They would do this in SVU sometimes, in Law and Order SVU. They would have the hottest actresses, and they'd dress them down, try to make them look very New York, but you would just be like, oh my God, that chick is smoking hot. It'd be a total distraction to the very serious drama they were trying to do. Yeah, she's way too hot. Now, if you're going to put her in cute little outfits, maybe I'll watch this show, I guess. Skimpy outfits. Oh no, Doctor, I've lost my top. Again. I mean, he's gay. It's not going to bother him. It's not sexual harassment if he's gay, right? But yeah, I don't think they're going that way. Rose from Doctor was hot. She was okay, but she wasn't like that hot. Like that's 22 hot, right? She looks like Rose wasn't that young. She was pretty hot for an English chick. This is like model hot. That chick right there could be a model. I don't know what's going on with her eyebrow there. It looks like she has a little scar going on or something. But you put the makeup on this girl and she could be on the cover of Cosmo, I think. So I think she's just too good looking for the role. But I think Doctor Who is done anyway. I think I have one more headline here. This is Cosmic Book News. Oh, yeah. Almost 40% of Marvel fans not happy with the MCU. Yeah. Rose was young when the show started, but they kept her around for like 10 years. Yeah, but I don't think she was that hot. I mean, she was pretty hot. I mean, she's actress hot. I don't know. Do you think she could have been on like the cover of Cosmo? If they maybe. I don't know. This girl, to me, she's way hotter. But 40% of Marvel fans not happy with the MCU. You mean the 40% of the fans you have left? This is the 40% of the fans that have stayed. You're not counting the fans that have left MCU, which I think would be a much higher number, much higher. I think you could count just about every male fan in comics that, isn't a soy drinker or SJW. That would be a lot of guys. That would be a lot of comic fans. So, and Indiana Jones hints at time travel as new details and images revealed. 40% of the fans have already stopped watching. Yeah, at least. So this is Doomcock's prediction coming true. We have no pictures. There we go. Do we have any pictures? Here's Mads Mikkelsen as the bad guy from Germany, and then this guy. This guy looks familiar. Kind of looks like Dave Landau. Boyd Holbrook. They don't even know who he's playing, and then this looks like, I don't know, a ticker tape parade. Like, I'm gonna guess maybe in World War II because it's a time travel thing. And they're trying to deny that it's a time travel thing because I guess, it leaked. But there are stills of Roman centurions running around that people took pictures of. Might be a dodge. The whole thing might be a smoke screen. I don't think so, though. I think Doomcock is probably on point with this. Either way, I think it'll be bad. I mean, the best case scenario, it's not a time travel thing. But the fact that Phoebe Waller-Bridge is in this thing, and she's clearly being hidden from the press, right? This is like Harrison Ford's last hurrah as Indy, and I haven't seen nary a picture of Phoebe Waller-Bridge official in the movie. Like, why isn't she on the cover? She's going to be the new Indiana Jones, according to all the rumors. He's definitely not doing it again. So, if even 10% of the time travel rumors are true, you want to talk about clowning yourself. This is going to make the disaster of Doctor Who, the MCU, everything that's gone before, pale in comparison. Because this movie has tested, apparently they tested, this is the Doomcock rumor, they tested 5 versions of this movie, and they all tested bad. Because they all end with Phoebe Waller-Bridge becoming the new Indiana Jones, but not like even taking the torch, but actually replacing him in history. So they end up stuck back in time, and Indy ends up killed. In one version, he ends up killed as a young man. Like, the young Indy saves old Indy and Phoebe Waller-Bridge, but then gets killed in the process. And then old Indy disappears like Marty McFly's family and Back to the Future in his picture. And then Phoebe Waller-Bridge has to replace Indy in time, in that time period. That's one of the versions of the ending. And there's a montage supposedly at the end of the movie. Again, this is all rumor from Doomcock, but it sounds something crazy enough that Kathleen Kennedy would try. But supposedly, Hollywood Ate My Baby sounds like a mess. Yeah. Supposedly, like, they then show a montage. And this is the end of the movie. This is after it's all over, right? Like, all the big points have happened. You've sat through 2 hours of movie. Now you get to see a montage of Phoebe Waller-Bridge recreate all of Harrison Ford's moments as Indiana Jones, like in the hat. In, like, you got to assume they're going to do the giant ball, and then they're going to do the scene in what was it? He's in a nightclub and he turns the table on its side and rolls it, and as the Chinese gangsters are shooting at him, that scene, the scene where he jumps out of the airplane with the raft, and what a disaster. Yeah, a mess. Mess doesn't even cover it, dude. That would just be a bomb dropped off in film fandom that I don't think anyone involved with the movie would ever recover. Certainly not Harrison Ford. I would never see another Harrison Ford movie again if even a tenth of that is true. I'm done with Harrison Ford forever. I'm pretty much done with him now, but that would just seal the deal. Phoebe Waller-Bridge, JEC, does her dad become Sean Connery somehow? I don't know. Who's her dad? Phoebe Waller-Bridge. Jeff Bridges? I don't know who her dad is, I guess. Who knows? I don't know what they're thinking, but apparently 5 versions of this movie and they all fail. So I think there's no way to save Indy 5. Like, no way. Because they apparently all end with Phoebe Waller-Bridge at least taking over Indy's spot. So at the very least, you could lessen the damage if all she does is she becomes the successor to Indiana Jones. There could be a way you could do that. But, like, you could, and you would have to bring in Mutt to justify that. You would have to bring him in for at least a cameo, or at least mention him. Like, the way I would do it is, I would say, I would make, first off, I'd pay, what's his face, Shia LaBeouf, to at least do a cameo as Mutt. It's years later, so now he's got like a regular job and he does an adventure for whatever reason. Maybe he's got kids, and Phoebe Waller-Bridge, I would at least say as a relative, but Phoebe Waller-Bridge is an actual student of archaeology, let's say, and that's why she's the successor. Like, Mutt didn't study. Mutt just wanted to make money and be a boring guy. It's fine. And then she she takes over the reins because she's like Indy for whatever reason. And then you could make that kind of work. I don't think fans would accept it, but it would kind of work. You know, but it would be better if you did it with Mutt, his son. But they hate Shia LaBeouf and they want to jam women down your throat. So, but this is quite the bait and switch, I think. Phoebe Waller-Bridge isn't pretty enough to be a leading actress, and people will find her off-putting. God knows why Kathy keeps shoving her down our throat. Yeah, I don't understand either. She's definitely, and part of the reason, I bet she probably has a better body than she dresses, but I think that's part of the reason she is not that attractive looking is because she's super, super feminist, my understanding. She's specifically dressing more manly and doesn't want to look feminine. She wants to look more like a man. And it's kind of like what they did to Kristen Stewart in that Charlie's Angels movie. Like, Kristen Stewart can look pretty hot when she wants to. And then, I don't know, they made her look stupid in the Charlie's Angels movie. With a short haircut and everything. And then, I don't know, they could have made her hot. But instead, they decided to kind of make her an action star, I guess, and give her short hair. I don't know. But, I mean, JC, she's got a horse face. She's built like a lesbian gym teacher. Carter Jane, I'm looking at pictures and she is 5-inch. She's a 5 in her best pictures. All right, I haven't seen her. Let's see. I'll be the judge of this. Phoebe Waller-Bridge. Okay. And we go to images. I mean, she's got a good body. Yeah, that face. Whew, that is not a good face. What's going on with her head? Does she have a tattoo on her forehead, or is that a birthmark? That's a bad picture. That one's okay. Now, this is a good picture. See, she could dress up. What's going on with her head, though? Does she have a mark on her head? She's covering up with hair in most pictures. Yeah, that mark's got to go. That bothers me. See, in this picture, she looks all right. Her face looks okay. You can hide it with makeup. See, this is a bad picture. You wouldn't put this in the movie. Like in that, she looks all right. I see why you say 5, though. Oh, my God, that's a terrible picture. See, this is the way I think she's going to look in the movie. She's got some cleavage going there. I mean, you could make her work, but yeah, she wouldn't be my first choice at all. She's got a 5 head, not a 4 head. Yeah, what's going on here? See, this is the look she cultivates, I think. This sort of, who's that famous lesbian artist? Can't think of her name. AOC or her? Oh, boy. I don't know. I haven't seen too many interviews with her, but AOC is pretty damn annoying. But then again, AOC's kind of a phony. I don't know, man. That is a Sophie's choice. I would have to lean towards AOC, strictly based on looks. I'd bring a ball gag. When you see a video of her talking, it's worse, JC. Her horse teeth are too big for her face. Oh, God. Carter Chain, I'm leading towards AOC. Yeah, JC, yeah, AOC. Yeah, I think we're all in agreement. Oh, look at this with the dog collar. Yeah, she's not looking great. Was she in Solo? God, that movie sucked. I saw Solo. My friend really wanted to go see it, and I said, okay. And God, what a piece of crap that was. Yeah, she's trying to do a Kristen Stewart look, but she's really not pulling it off. And she's doing the braless thing, but yeah, her breasts are not big enough for that. Yeah, she needs a push-up bra. She was feminist robot in Solo. Oh, God, she did the voice? Oh, boy. Yeah, that's not going to be good. Yeah, 5 sounds about right. Like, body-wise, she's okay. But that face and that birthmark on the top of her head, that's gotta go. I can't take that. That birthmark drives me nuts. I would be staring at, if I was on a date with her, I'd be looking at that. I'd be looking at that spot. I wouldn't be able to take my eyes off of it. And then I would just try to end the date as quickly as possible and be like texting her, nah, this ain't gonna work out for me. We're two different people. She rewrote a lot of solo too, I hear. Oh, Jesus. That's not a good sign. She probably wrote a bunch of these lines for Indy. Oh, God. Yeah, this sounds like it's going to be an absolute train wreck. But she's not in any of the advertising yet. So that's really going to be a bait and switch. So imagine you're like, you're just a normie. You're all psyched for Indiana Jones 5. You saw 4 and you thought, well, wasn't that good, but maybe 5, it'll be a send-off. It'll be really good. And then she's all over the screen. JC, her boobs probably look like runny eggs nailed to a plank of wood. Yeah, it's looking that way. But, it is Hollywood. It wouldn't take much to fix that in Hollywood. They have the best plastic surgeons around. See, she should be in comedies. That's where she should be. If I was casting her for a comedy, like a real comedy, not a feminist comedy, yeah, so she'd be like the average girl. The average girl is in a comedy, a rom-com or something like that. Like she's good looking enough to be an actress, but not too good looking to threaten women. And she's probably, in years past, she would have been the funny one. She would have been the Sarah Silverman. Yeah, even before Sarah Silverman, that's probably a poor comparison. I don't know, like a, just a funny chick. The only reason she'd be in the movies because her stand-up was solid enough, or she was in some funny bit, and that's why she's in the movie. You're gonna make her Indiana Jones? It makes 0 sense. She's not even all that athletic, really. Like if she was super toned, you'd be like, okay, she's got muscles. These pictures are JC. These pictures you're looking at are the best possible pictures of her. Yeah, they're not great. She was a comedian. She was in comedy. She wrote British comedy shows. Kathy Caesars as an avatar, probably. She should have stayed in comedy. She's got a face for comedy. And she's a comedian. But see, she's doing feminist comedy. All right, so here's one where she's all dressed up. That's a little better. See, you notice in the dress-up picture, she's always covering the mark. Always covering it. Why aren't you covering it in the other ones? Why don't you get rid of the mark? There's no way there isn't a guy that some doctor somewhere can't just do a procedure and that would be gone forever. I don't know why she doesn't get rid of it. She just keeps combing her hair over it. But then she doesn't. That's so annoying. God, that would drive me nuts. Yeah, I don't know. Kathleen Kennedy, she'll go down in history as a pox upon the movie industry, I think. Little did George Lucas know what he was building. He I don't know. It's like some people, they work in whatever industry they work in, they really shouldn't move up, And I guess Kathleen Kennedy was one of those people. Like, moving her up has been an absolute disaster. An absolute disaster. She's trying to make this feminism work as a movie. It's just, who wants to see this? Tens of people, maybe? A handful of women that she hangs out with? You want to talk about living in a bubble. Living in a narrow, tiny space. Feminism, really? In this day and age? It's like, it would be like taking a guy who was still wanted to do like Arnold Schwarzenegger movies. That was the 80s, man. That was 40 years ago. Feminism, that was like 50 years ago. That was hot. Now it's not hot. Is feminism hot? I don't think so. Like, woke stuff is hot, but not feminism. It's just this. Oh, God. I mean, the ESG guys maybe love this, but that's about it. And even so, like, you'd think, Carter Chain, only in this timeline do you fail upwards. Well, that's a thing. It's not totally new. If you're connected. And look, in Hollywood, you make a movie. If you're smart, if you're at this level, you make 3 movies. 2 of them bomb, and 1 of them does okay. And saves your career. But this ends her career right here. Indy 5 will end it. Because the fan outrage will be off the charts, I think. This will be off the charts so bad, people will be furious that they paid money for this. JC, she'd been Lucas and Spielberg's coffee fetcher since Raiders, and she's married to a big, powerful producer. She was owed the promotion based on those 2 things. But no. No, she's not. But I can see why it would happen. But she's not owed it. Maybe you give her a movie to do and then see how it does. But when it bombs, you go, Kathy, maybe you ought to stay in, I don't know, HR? Run the HR department or costumes or something? Or maybe you should just be a money person. Just get money for us. Get money for female directors with actual vision and talent. I mean, look, and Phoebe Waller-Bridge probably has some talent. I'm sure she's very talented. But, let her pick a project, right? Let her write and pick a project. Whatever Fleabag is, I haven't seen it. Some kind of movie version of that or something similar to that. And maybe that's not going to be a big movie, but you're not going to ruin your big... I mean, Indiana Jones is a big IP. You should be thinking about recasting to save it. JC, Hollywood logic, she was owed it because of those 2 things. Yeah. And her ego is such, she would insist she was owed it. Yeah. But Indy makes no sense in my view. I mean, she hasn't proved herself, especially now. You look at the Star Wars thing, she didn't prove herself with Star Wars. She proved the exact opposite, in my view, that she shouldn't be in charge of any big franchises. Oh, she should be, and like that it's taken this long to like knock her down. And now it's too late. I mean, they put her in charge of so many things. They should have pulled the plug on her immediately after that first Star Wars movie. Immediately. They should just rip the plug right out. But it's taken this long. And now, this is the new Indiana Jones, ladies and gentlemen. Oh boy, doesn't she look like a exciting adventurer who's going to do all sorts of adventures? Alright. On that dumpster fire oven note, I'm going to wrap it here. Oh God, it's almost 9. Sorry for going long again. It was good talk. Good talk, good stream. Any final thoughts? Let's see. JEC, this is her last chance. She's over 70. She is. She looks good for 70. I'll give her that. This fails as terribly as it's looking. She's be retired. Well, I think that was in the pipeline anyway to retire her, because it was like Star Wars was doing poorly, and then she was sort of battling it out in the press. No, it's not doing poorly. It's really doing kind of well. We are making money, and it's really the trolls and that sort of whole defense. And that she sort of like hung on, and then there was this like interstudio battle to get rid of her. And then finally, after, and it was about her contract too. She had like, all kinds of clauses. Hollywood ate my baby. Take care, Tony. Take care. Hollywood ate my baby, and eat a baby for me. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, so I think it was partly her contract. She probably had an amazing contract. God, the contract she must have had. Oh, probably blow your mind. The amount of money they'll be paying her from now until, till she, even after she dies. I mean, they'll keep paying her, I assume. And who is she married to? I have to look that up after the stream. Because that guy has a lot to answer for. Because maybe he could have stopped this. Maybe he could have said, Kathy, why don't you just stay home? why don't you just stay home? We'll I'll buy you something nice. I'll buy you something nice. You don't have to work. I make money. I make good money. You could redesign the mansion again. JC, she was part of the deal with Lucas, no doubt. Yeah, she definitely was. And I partly blame Lucas, really. Partly blame Lucas. I mean, I assume she was a loyal soldier back in the day. And probably she was good at her job to be the assistant visionary. But to be the visionary, I mean, you could just tell she wants to be the visionary. And she's just not. She doesn't have any of it. Where are her ideas? Right? Where's her Star Wars? I mean, like, separate from the Star Wars she ruined, in my view. You don't see it. Where are her original ideas? I don't know. Are any of the movies she produced her original ideas? I don't think so. Those, if there are, they're probably like gone. Like, but yeah. All right. I'm gonna go see what Joan's doing. Oh, by the way, I tried to do Rumble today, but it didn't work. I'm not sure what I did wrong. I'm not sure how to do both streams simultaneously. So I'm gonna work on that. And hopefully, maybe by next week, we'll also have a stream rolling on Rumble. I'm gonna need a tutorial. I thought, it could have been easy. JC, she was probably in the room doing the actual creative typing for them, or doing the actual creatives typing for them. Yeah. But I don't think she has. I guess her entire thought process back then was probably something like, well, there should be more women. And the guys were like, oh, just keep typing, Kathy. Get me another coffee. Yeah. And, I don't know. Anywho, that's it for me, Tony D. I'm going to go do the Piney podcast now for my final video of the night. And next stream, I'll probably be exhausted, but next Sunday should be no problem. Got nothing going on next Sunday. But I'm having a big Saturday and a big Monday on either side. So check you guys later. See ya in the next one.